right. You ready? It's so hard to hear in here, you know. So, I'm going to show you the magic of a spindle gouge. And this is a 1/2-inch spindle gouge. It's sharpened. Can you all hear me? I'm yelling. Come closer. It's sharpened with a fingernail grind. And I use a Wolverine, but whatever system you use, it's not the bowl grind down here, it's up higher to make this fingernail grind. So this is a spindle gouge. This is a detail gouge. It's just like this one. They have a shallow flute, but it has more metal on the back. And I got this years ago because it just came out with them, and I thought, oh, I need one. But I don't like it any better than this. The thing about a spindle gouge, that if you're going to buy one, is that you want to look for a flute that's 6 inches long. A lot of them sell them that 4 inches or 5 inches, and with our sharpening jigs, they don't last very long. One Way sells a 6. This is a One Way. I don't even care about the metal. I care about the flute. It's a 6-inch flute, and then Doug Thompson sells a spindle gouge with a 6-inch flute. So that's, I think, the most critical thing about these tools, so that you can sharpen them for a long time. So they're not intuitive. So what I'm going to do is just show you, and I'm going to flatten this out really quickly, show you the magic of this tool. Yes.
Since you're starting with the spindle gouge, what's the determination between when you would start roughing the block with a spindle gouge versus a spindle roughing gouge?
I would not really rough this with a spindle gouge unless I were here. I did bring some, I did bring a bowl gouge, but this bowl gouge has a personality disorder. This bowl gouge thinks it's a spindle gouge because I sharpened it the same way, at the same angle I do a spindle gouge. And the reason I did that is a lot of my work, I have to go over the tool rest quite a bit. And this seemed like a more stable tool for me. So it just also taught me that even though a lot of people say there's only one right way to sharpen a tool, that's not right. So I always say, I'm going to show you what works for me, and you're going to go home and you're going to see if these things work for you. And if they're not, you're going to change it. And that's fine. That's what we all do. So that being said, I think I will use my bowl gouge to quickly make this round. And I will do this for a minute. But while I'm doing this, I can show you that you don't need a skew to make those wonderful entry cuts for like furniture legs. You can do it with a spindle gouge. In fact, that's what I'll do on this just to show you. So, actually, I would use this. If that were going to be a table leg, then this is the way I would do it, is with this tool. But I do that very rarely in my work. See the clean cut you can get with this. So that's why I said I can do anything with the skew that's with a spindle gouge that everybody else can do with the skew. But that being said, that cut I make very infrequently in my work. So I'm just going to go ahead and level this out and show you other things to use the skew with. So a lot of people want to use more than the tip of this tool when they're using a spindle gouge. They want to use the sides. They want to poke it into the wood because you can actually make cuts, I'll show you, just by pushing this into the wood flat like this. But you don't have any control over it because the bevel's nowhere and you're using the tip. So when I teach people, I think this tool rest needs to be up a little higher. People who have never used a spindle gouge, then one of the first exercises I ask them to do is just lay, still not high enough, lay the bevel on the wood with the tool at 45 degrees angle, like this. So I'm just going to lay the bevel there. That's pretty good. Get that out of the way. And then lift the handle up, catch the wood, and if I'm going to the left, can you see in it? Oh, good. If I'm going to the left, I catch the wood, I catch it with the left tip, point the tool to the left, and drag the tool to the left, and I can make a successful cut. I'm not turning the tool over, I'm not digging it in, but I'm just lightly cutting the wood. And when I go to the right, I catch the wood with the right tip and just slide the tool over to the right. You get the feeling of how, when you're using this tool, the tip is high on the wood and you have the bevel supporting the cut. So that's the exercise that I have people do when they're first learning this. So this tool is best for V-cuts and beads. To make a V-cut, then you do turn it on the side, but I'm going to cut, if I'm going to the right, I'm going to cut with the right tip, which is on the bottom. The tool can't be flat, it has to be open so that that tip is available, and the tool is pointed to the right. So now I can pierce the wood and make the beginnings of a V-cut, and now I have my feet apart so that I can swing my body any way I need to. I'll pierce it coming from the other side, and I can make a V-cut going from right to left. But notice how the angle of the tool changes. And I'll show you what happens, and it happens a lot when you're first learning this. If you don't have the angle right and you stick it in, that happens. And it scares you. You know, oh no. So that's only because I stuck the tool in without the point being supported with the wood behind it. So watch this V-cut. I'm going to stick the tool in. As I penetrate the wood, the handle comes up, and the tip actually gets pointed towards that center axis. So that's the magic of a V-cut. Now if I want to make a bead, then I call this neutral, 90 degrees with the bevel riding. And I'll start over here and just whittle off a little bit of that and keep whittling it off. I'm using the tip, I'm going to the right, using the right tip, and by the end of that cut, the tool is upside down just about, the handle's high. So I'll start here, catch the wood, and go all the way in. And then if I want to make the rest of that bead, I also need a V-cut here, so I have a place to roll this bead into. So now I can make the other half of the bead, let the bevel ride. I'm using the left tip. Can roll the tool around and eventually end up like that. But take small, light cuts. I guess I'm better on the right side than I am the left side. I call that the magic of this tool because if you do use the tip and the bevel, you can actually do these things reliably. It takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of hours at the lathe. When I first started getting really interested in spindles and multi-axis turning, I looked at what I was doing and I thought, oh, this will never work. I have to sand it. I was horrible at it. There were grooves in it. But the more you do it, the smoother the cuts get, and the more you can do things like that piece over there, which is just a series of it's just a bead like this, but it's on an off axis, and it's not circular. So there's a bead from here to here. And there are 3 axes, and I change the axis, advance that bead, and do it again. So this is a very complicated piece, but anybody who can do this reliably on one axis can do any of this off-axis stuff. It's actually very easy to, let's change this axis a little bit. Change the tool rest a little bit so that that doesn't fly off. Now I'll show you, I'll turn the speed down a little bit. But the faster the lathe goes, the easier this cut is because it's coming around more quickly. So it's like entering a solid piece of wood. So I'll make a V cut here. So just notice that the cuts are light. You don't have to have a heavy hand with this kind of work. You want to just take your time and make these cuts. So that's what it looks like when you throw an axis off. That, by the way, would be called a twisted axis because it's not parallel relative to the center axis. And there's a V cut. And I could go all the way to the solid wood. See that solid wood in there? I could create another cylinder and make a profile on that. Or I could do another axis and do another V-cut and make it arc type. But there's so many options once you have the skill to just do this stuff on one axis. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So what do you think? So who wants to try it? Who wants to play? I'm sure all of you have done spindle work anyhow, so I hope you've learned something. Huh? Okay, good. All right, have you done this before? A spindle?
We'll say yes.
Okay, I'm going to stand.
I will take any instructions.
I'm going to stand here, and you know what I'm going to do? This was just a little bit too low. Okay,
So
you're going to work right here.
Is make that little screw thing you did at the beginning.
That's right. Yeah. I'll have
Plan for it now.
I'm going to have my hands on yours, so you're going to do this. What you're going to do is just put the tool, let the bevel ride, lift it up, catch the wood, and now point the tool to the left,
Okay.
and you're cutting with the left part of the tool.
Okay.
And now do that over here. Lift the handle, catch the wood, point the tool to the right. You're not twisting the tool,
Okay.
You're just cutting with that right and left tip.
Got it.
So once you get used to that, then you've got the feel of what this tool feels like. Point it more towards me when you're coming this way, and then catch the wood lighter. So you hear that vibration?
I do.
Yeah, that's normal for somebody who's a beginner. But you want to lighten up the cut. That's right. Keep it flat.
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 Okay.
Don't point, don't twist it. Yeah. That will teach you how it feels to use this tool just using the tip. That's good. Now you want to make a V-cut?
Sure.
Okay, let me help you. So first, we'll make a cut coming, put your hands on it. We're going to make a cut this way. So we're going to pierce the wood with that tip and just press it in.
Okay. Now come back
And then
over
we're going to
here.
come back over here and do the same thing. And then you're going to go back and forth, but you have to have your feet apart so you can
Okay.
twist the tool from right to left.
So,
You want it on its side. And put the tip in and then raise the handle. Raise the handle now. Yeah, that's right, because you're going to cut with the tip.
okay, like this.
Yeah.
And
Put it in, and then you're going to raise the handle. That's right, yeah. All right,
and what if I just want to try to go down into here,
do it.
clear that out?
Do it, yeah.
Okay.
And now make another cut. It's not intuitive, so if you don't have somebody there grabbing the tool, you're going to do it wrong at first until you really get it.
How'd that go? So that's
That went good.
okay.
Now do it on the other side. That's good.
Yeah.
You got it. All right,
Okay.
now let's roll that over into a bead. So what you want to do is start here and then just whittle that down. And then we'll take another cut and we're going to go all the way in now. So at the end of the bead, that's what it feels like. You go from this position
Okay.
all the way to there.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try to do the same thing
yeah,
over here.
good. Stay with the wood. Yeah, now lift the handle.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
There we go. Cool.
Yeah. Good job. Good job.
Sweet. When you're doing your axes, where do you tend to put the? I mean, that's obviously center. Do you do like 30 degrees off, or
You know, you can do them anywhere you want.
you feel like it.
But there are only two major types of axes.
Okay.
There's an axis, a new axis will either be parallel to this axis, equidistant on each side. It can be closer to the outside or the center of the spindle, or it can be twisted. I did a twisted axis. I only changed one end, but I could change both ends.
Okay.
But it's not parallel to the center axis, and that's called twisted. So there are only two types of new axes, and they can be, there are limitless ways to do that.
Well, let's try something. Wow.
All right.
So where do you suggest I do something?
Well, I would see right there. I would probably make a V cut right in there.
V cut. So we've set it on the edge like this.
That's right. Yeah, and just feel the wood and make light cuts. Don't get too much. Now see that vibration? You're a little heavy-handed. You want a light cut.
Feel better?
Yes,
Kind of come back this direction, and of course, yeah.
that's right. You got it. Yep. 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 But see, when it's going fast, it feels a lot like, well, that's a difficult cut because it's not flat.
That felt right.
You did good. Yep, that's right. Now let's see what you've done. Turn it off and let's just see. So you've done that right there, and it looks really good. Yeah. Just remember that you want to take off just little bits at a time
Sure.
and get the angles right.
This is where I messed up on my earlier spot there.
Yeah.
And then for this, would we just go down a little bit deeper on
Yeah.
this side, you think?
Yeah. Do it.
All right, let's give
Do
it a
it.
shot, see what we get.
What do you normally turn?
Whatever's on the lathe, whatever I can think of at the time. I don't have a normally, I guess is all I'm saying.
You do a lot of bowls.
I do a lot of bowls.
You do a lot of candle holders and spindles.
Sure. I did that little blue guy over there.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So
Well, you're good at
I
this.
did take this. Thank you.
You're good at it.
I tend to be able to watch somebody do something and then do the same thing once I figure out what it was they were actually doing.
Right.
So
Very good.
I really like that.
It's a lot of fun. You can have that.
Thank you very much.